Alright, hello, welcome everybody to This Week in Illuvium, where we go over all of the news in the Illuvium community, any sort of announcements, any sort of updates, alongside any sort of community content that's also being made in the process, whether it be videos or many more. We'll go over everything in today's episode. We have a lot to talk about, so it's going to be a fun time. Now, just bear with me, I tried something a little bit different for once, where instead of firing off the starting soon screen, we hopped right into the swing of things, so just quickly double check and then make sure everything actually went live okay. It does seem like, let's see. Twitch side of things, we're good. Hello, welcome. X side of things looks like we're good as well. YouTube side of things looks like we're good as well. So we are good to go here for today's episode. Should be a fun one because we have, again, a lot to talk about. Multiple town halls here have already happened as a part of Town Hall Week with Illuvium, and they gone over Beyond, Illuvium 0, and then just last night, they did go over the Illuvium Arena. We'll get into all that. We'll get into all of that and more very shortly. Especially with Arena being the newest one, and there were a handful of things to definitely talk about in that one. After that, of course, we'll go into our current arena recap. While the leaderboards themselves might be down, we can still see who's actually at the top in regards to the ranked ladder, even if the leader rewards are gone. So we can still take a look at that. We can still look at our top sales, even though the ZK EVM migration is going on. We can still see what were the top sales of the last 7 days across all of our titles, or all of the games. And then we can still take a peek at the IlluviDex. Of course, so one thing that was kind of huge early on in the week, of course, is that the overworld is actually gone now. You cannot go in and catch any more Illuvials. That part of the game is gone to get prepared for the MMO. So it should make a little bit of scarcity now, even when there already was some going into it. But now that the overworld is gone, I imagine there's going to be even more scarcity in terms of Illuvials. And then, like I was saying before, we'll wrap things up with the community segment. Take a look at who else has been making content and who else has just been making things in general with Illuvium. And of course, regardless of which platform you're on, I do have the chats open so I can see everybody. Sota, hello, good morning, looking forward to the Arena Town Hall recap. Well, you're in luck, that's the first thing we're tackling today. So perfect, we'll get right into that in just a moment's time. Let me highlight it because that is exactly where we're going. I got my notes for it right here. So first off, for the Arena Town Hall, the first thing that was kind of touched on was the fact that tournaments are going to be coming back in some way, shape, or form. While there is no set dates for anything yet, the idea that they want to have tournaments rather consistently, it sounds like, is being up in the air. Again, no actual dates or anything, but they want to have some sort of tournament going maybe into February and possibly even into March, where there's just essentially what sounds like one-off tournaments or short, like maybe couple-week tournaments that everybody can get into, even if you're not necessarily a top player. They emphasize that they wanted to make it so that if you're a top 200 player or something in the ranked leaderboard and you're fed up constantly going up against top 8 or top 16 or these players that have these godlike collections, that you can still get something out of it. So it's good to see. Tournaments are going to be coming back, but unfortunately no dates currently set. Now alongside that tournament, there was also talks about, I mean, this was kind of touched on in the Illuvium Beyond tournaments, or yeah, Illuvium Beyond tournaments, Illuvium Beyond section of the Town Hall on Sunday, but it was brought back up here again. So Garen is saying that for their next Illuvium Beyond set, that they've partnered with one of the biggest brands in the world. They've not announced exactly what that brand is per se, but as a part of that partnership, they want to have a sponsored tournament. So that is looking to be coming in April. No exact date for that just yet, but April looking to be the dates for that, with more details to come in the future. In regards to Arena, again, going back to that, we do have Ascendant. Ascendant, the one-on-one mode that was available when I first got into Illuvium, is coming back in some way, shape, or form. It sounds like Nil and the developers have been working on getting that back online as kind of like a quick play option, or another alternative option for those that don't want to do the 8-player free-for-all gauntlet style. So interesting to see another game mode coming on through and seeing what was, I'd argue, a fan favorite coming back into the game. And alongside that, they are open to the idea of Ascendant also having their own tournaments, but of course, still very early stages, nothing confirmed yet, but they're open to the idea. Kieran mentions that experience boost and just gaining experience in general, especially now that the overworld is gone, has been a little bit of a low point for the game and a very, very tough spot and a tough grind for pretty much everybody across all of Illuvium. So they did mention that there is a experience booster of some sort being worked on, which sounds like, at least based off of how they were wording it in the town hall, that it is going to be a purchasable experience boost of sorts. So whether that's an immediate from level 1 to 60, or maybe it's just a fixed amount of experience, we don't know that kind of detail just yet, but one way or another, purchasable experience boosters are currently being worked on, which will be, I'm sure, a nice little lifesaver to competitive players that are tired of slugging through the experience in the arena, and especially right now while the migration's happening, you can't get experience right now anyway. So a nice purchasable option for those that don't necessarily have the time to grind it out. Set 1B was touched on ever so slightly, and it took a different kind of turn. So when I first heard about the Set 1B, I was thinking that maybe a couple of alluvials would be added, but the way that Kieran was kind of wording it suggests to me anyway, that it's more so of the alluvials themselves being modified in one way or another. Details were not necessarily talked about, but Kieran absolutely emphasized that they need something fresh, because technically, if we compare it to the other auto battlers like Teamfight Tactics, where they're getting a new update or so every couple months or so, even if it's like the same characters but just with a different spin on it, we've been playing the same patch basically for 4 years. So Set 1B, while I thought it might have been a couple of alluvials being added in to potentially fill some holes in the meta, might actually be something a little bit bigger, where all of the alluvials might be getting some sort of modification in one way or another. Whether that's an affinity change, maybe their ability gets tweaked, I have no idea. It's all speculation at this point. No details have been announced just yet. But the thought of Set 1B, or the thought of Set 1B being more of a modification to current alluvials was definitely brought up. Now, a lot of people are going to like this one. Rewards are coming back in one way or another, but it's currently being worked on. As of right now, of course, pretty much rewards for everything except Illuvium Zero's fuel burning, and then Illuvium Beyond's collections are currently completely off the table. But the devs, they're not blind, they're not stupid. They've seen the decline in player activity over the last month or so since it was taken away around Christmas time. So they're going back to the community, they're going back to the council to try and figure out a way that they can implement rewards in a way that is sustainable. But the big W at the end of this for a majority of the players is that, hey, there will be something to fight for likely within the upcoming weeks. We'll have to see exactly which way they want to go. I know I definitely have my thoughts on it. Any of my personal thoughts about any of the topics I'll be doing after the show while I'm doing my own Illuvium Zero collections and work. I'll go through my personal thoughts about all these things after the fact. But for now, you happy rewards? They're coming back. And the necessary evil, as Kieran put it, which I found quite interesting. It was asked what would happen when another set of alluvial comes in, and it was discussed that when set 2 comes on through, there would be like 400 some odd alluvials total at that point, right? So at that point, it was mentioned that your arena matches, not every single alluvial would be available in every single game or every single patch. is kind of what was being discussed. Of course, still very, very early discussions about this, but found it rather interesting that maybe, whether it be on a game per game basis or whether it be a patch per patch basis, that some Illuvials would be available in the arena at a time whether you own it or not, and some might not be available in the arena even if you own them or not. So an interesting take on it, but it could be something to keep in mind, that maybe your go-to strategy for every single game might end up getting wrecked. If you're a Rogue Revenant kind of player and all of a sudden your slashing's taken away in a patch, you might be kind of forced to try something else, which on one hand is frustrating, but on the other hand is kind of interesting. At the same time, forces you to adapt a little bit. In regards to Arena Mobile, Kieran said up front that there's not really any good news to say in regards to Arena Mobile. It is at least about 3 to 6 months away from possibly being a thing, because they're currently, of course, working on the arena, they're currently working on the MMO, and once the arena set 1B is complete, more than likely all of those developers are going to be going towards the MMO to try and superpower that one, get all their resources put into the MMO bucket, which is going to put Arena Mobile behind ever so slightly. So for those looking for Arena Mobile to come out sometime soon, you might be out of luck, because that's not necessarily going to be the case. MMO is going to take priority. Fox Oracle, hello, good morning. A quick pause here, my cat's trying to escape. One sec. There we go. The question was asked in the town hall from the audience, would the arena get shut down to save runway? And Kieran had mentioned that the arena would not be shut down at all to save runway unless they were basically about to go out. Like, unless they were in dire need, I believe was the term that he used. So, for those worried that the MMO would take like full precedent and then the arena would get shut down, that is not on the, or is not likely going to be on the table. Kieran did mention, though, that there could be points where Arena stops getting development altogether to focus on other tasks, but it would not be shut down. I actually watched the town hall, but I get a better take from you. You're good at summaries. Thank you. Thank you, Fox. I appreciate that. And the last thing in regards to the Arena town hall was that there is some sort of strategy being cooked up behind the scenes, focused at Web 2 players. Players like myself, for example, who could not care less about Web 3 or any sort of crypto or any sort of NFT shenanigans. But how do you get them involved into Illuvium? How do you get them excited about the arena and the MMO? There is a Web 2 strategy of some sort, whether it's a marketing strategy or some sort of tailored way of introducing Illuvium to Web 2 people. Something like that is being cooked up right now, but no details can be shared about it as of this moment. And I'm definitely interested to see how that ends up turning up, because I know that I'm a bit of a unicorn in the Illuvium community for not necessarily caring about the Web3 side of things. I just like the game, and I'm sure there's more people like me out there. Now, of course, that was yesterday, but we did also have the Illuvium Zero Town Hall that happened 2 days ago. And in regards to Illuvium Zero, Kieran admits that it has not been as impactful as they were hoping in terms of like having value into their other games, but they confirmed that there is still development being done on it. They were very, very much so waiting on the ZK EVM migration to go on through before they started developing new things, because we knew about the training gyms, but everything else was still kind of up in the air. But now that the migration is basically there, there is a lot of things that they can cook up now, and they do want community feedback on this as well. It's still being developed, they're still thinking about it, and they still want to implement it. In fact, Kieran mentions that he wants Illuvium Zero and Zero's players to be leaned on for support, basically, from the other games, and make it so that you almost have to go to an Illuvium Zero player for certain aspects. As to what exactly, No details are shared as of this moment. But the mindset is that they want Zero to have utility that is almost like core to the entire gameplay experience, to the point that whether you're a Web 2 guy, Web 3 guy, MMO specialist, or excuse me, exclusively playing the MMO or exclusively Arena, playing both, does not matter. Kieran wants it so that you essentially need to be working with the Illuvium Zero player, which would definitely add the utility and add the value to those Illuvium Zero players and plots. And just essentially just making it a more competitive experience overall. There was talks about like what kind of direction do they want to take. There's a lot of players that were talking and wishing for some sort of attack and defend, like with base style, like a Clash of Clans-esque thing. Because there's plenty of ideas on the table, but they need to judge with the community to see exactly what they want and what would make sense, so to speak. In regards to blueprints, though, one thing that was brought up was that going into the MMO, blueprints currently do not have their use locked in as of this moment. I know personally I have plenty of ideas. I'll gladly talk about it later. But in regards to the news side of things right here, right now, blueprints, you might have them collected, but right now it might not be something as simple as being a skin in game. They currently do not have their use locked in. Kieran also mentioned there's currently about 20,000 land plots available, and they are not interested in making and selling more unless the community, unless the DAO ends up saying so sometime down the road. So if it does get into an instance where the Illuvium Zero plots and players are very heavily sought after, they really want to stress those that made their early commitments to those Illuvium Zero plots get the value out of it. Fox Oracle, I am 100% in the same mindset as you. I completely agree. Final thing about zeros, they kind of touched on, it's not just a zero thing, but they're debating on a development, or like a devathon or a hackathon is something along the lines, I believe they called it, where they're open to the idea of people making things themselves and then having it added into Zero or having its own standalone game. There's kind of one project actually that we'll kind of touch on in the community aspect later on in the show that's kind of taken this route. But during this town hall, they did mention about being open to other people developing things for Illuvium. But otherwise for Illuvium Zero, that was the gist of it. If we hop on over then to Illuvium Beyond, which again, we have Wave 5 is going to be coming out. And as of right now, it says February 19th. I believe that's what Kieran said. And again, they're partnered with a very, very noteworthy brand that they're saying is one of the biggest brands in the world. Of course, I kind of touched on earlier with the Arena Town Hall that there is also going to be a tournament like sponsored alongside Beyond. And with this entire set, Kieran says he wants more utility for Illuvium Beyond themselves. So just having the images and just making your collection score is not enough. He's thinking something more like a card game for Illuvium Beyond potentially, which could be pretty interesting. But again, still very, very early stages and nothing has been confirmed, no details there yet, but wants Beyond to have more utility. Sometime this year, there will be a 3-year celebration set for Illuvium Beyond, where a couple of the Illuvials from the original sets will be coming back in a new set. However, it is not going to be the same artwork. So any of the OGs, as they're saying, who purchased Illuvium Beyond's original sets early on, you're not facing a reprint, as we would call it in like traditional like trading cards. No, your artwork would still be original, it's still going to stand out, but the Illuvials being used will probably be the same, just look way different, of course. Illuvial Set 2 is going to also be seen first in Illuvium Beyond. That is going to be the first chance that we actually get to see the new Illuvials when they do eventually come out. Before they get into the MMO, before they get into Illuvium Arena, Zero Biodata, nope, Illuvium Beyond will be the first ones to see the new Illuvials. But that's basically what we have here for the town halls. Of course, they're not done yet, though. The MMO town hall is happening tonight. It's 11 o'clock my time at night, so I'll probably catch it in the morning. But there is also tomorrow night, there is going to be the Risk to Earn town hall, but they kind of snuck it in last night that it's also going to talk about staking in that town hall as well. So a little bit of a double feature there for the final town hall of the week. But with that, we can now get to our arena recap. Of course, while there is all this excitement for the MMO playtest and all of that good jazz, we do still have the arena currently being competed in. And in terms of the leaderboard, I can't necessarily show it off right here, right now, due to the ZKVM migration, but the one thing that I did notice in-game is that Aflunk has taken the first place spot over Junior 3 now, so congrats to Aflunk being the top of the leaderboard in the Illuvium Arena. But how about the matches at hand here? Let's take a look and see what we've got going on here for the week. Taking a look at the augments right off the rip as per usual, and the Restorating Impact Reactor, once again, you basically see this thing in every single game. Having this labeled by completion, 80% of games has at least one player using this augment. We do see the Hyperforce, where it's the stacking attack speed, going to be up there as well, alongside the Dense Stasis for max health, and then the engine, the Tessellating Omega Reactor, showing up as well. Last but not least, the Synchronizing Pulse Reactor, where your attack damage gets turned into energy damage, wrapping things up there. And with the win rates, got a bunch of imprints, of course. Toxic Imprint seeming to lead the charge here today, with the Converging Impact Reactor, where you do get your percent of health as attack damage. Synchronizing Pulse is back here as well. Siphon Impact, considering there's so many beefy, strong Illuvials out there, being able to steal their stats is just quite nice. And we're seeing Harbinger, Enchanter, Tsunami, bunch of imprints coming on through for some pretty decent win rates. If we take a look at the teams that are kind of being used as of this moment, not being shown up here it looks like, but we see the Shadow Mall getting its first opportunity to be leading the charge here for top 1. Oddly enough, it looks like some sort of either Mud Templar or potentially even a Granite Enchanter kind of style, seeming to be working out here for the most part this week. Aqua Blaster showing up as well, the tried and true Steam Harbinger seeming to be the way to go. Tsunami showing up a little bit as well. Ripple Flail going to be showing up here with more Harbinger action. This time it's going to be Steam Harbinger. You got Frost Behemoth potentially as well. And then it's also looking like Toxic Colossus is getting some play. Rogues are still up there for the top 4. They are going to be rocking the standard Verdant Vanguard overall. And then we do seem to be having Steam Mystic or potentially even Steam Aegis showing its face a little bit here using the Flame Warden Staff. Some of these weapons not necessarily getting the most usage, but finding themselves in top 1 a lot of times. But what if you're just trying to get onto the podium? What changes? It does look like the Elderwood Staff is a smart way to go with a 52% win rate, or a 52% chance to actually make it into the top 3. That is kind of crazy, I'm not going to lie. And it's looking like a Verdant Aegis style, Verdant Templar style, Verdant Mystic style. It's just all working beautifully. We are doing it seems like the Elderwood Staff is having a fantastic time. Finebound Cleaver again, Verdant Vanguard, we know the deal. It's up there as well for the top 3. Got the Steam here for the Aqua Blaster, but actually Tsunami's up there as well, Tsunami Harbinger. The Inferno Arcanite is still definitely a thing. Magma Berserker is also potentially a thing here as well. And last but not least, the Flameborn Staff coming on through here again for some Steam Mystic or Steam Aegis kind of style. Or heck, pair it with your Monarch apparently is another way that they've been doing it. to be able to get Inferno Enchanter. So an interesting way to do that. Now this website that I am looking at, this is IlluviVault. This is made by Linky to help keep track of all the stats, essentially, of everything that's going on in the arena. Eventually, I believe it's looking to expand into more sections as well, so it's still in development, but very, very helpful, to say the least. Very, very quickly, going to take a peek at the other side of the page here, where we do have the suits and the augments. I'm really curious to see what has been winning a lot as of late. Explosive tempo for suits. Let's take a look at suits. We do get the stacking attack speed while also doing an AoE for 100% of your attack speed as physical damage. That's leading the charge alongside the damage reduction from the Ironclad Blessing. Temporal flares every second Omega, granting attack speed, 40% attack speed to allies within 30 radius. The staggering strike, where you reduce your own attack speed but stun on every auto, is going to be fourth, and then Luminara's Curse is going to wrap things up here for the top 5. How about the drone augments? The Windy Aura, oddly enough, where you get dodge chance, is going to get the best win rate, currently a 50% win rate, but only 4 uses. So whoever's been using that have been really picking their spots wisely to make that happen. On the contrary, though, we do see Solid Start. It's kind of off screen here, actually, I'm realizing, so my apologies. I'll try to read them off real quick. But Solid Start is the second best augment here for the drones with 13 uses, where you go invulnerable a little bit off the rip. Windy Aura, the small one, is going to be their health package, where you just get raw health, is going to be 4th, and Solid Start again. So it's just dodge chance, health, and invulnerability seems to be the way to go here for our drone augments. Interesting to see. And then in regards to the leaderboard, one more time again, congrats to Afflunk for now being the new leader of the Illuvium Arena ranked leaderboard. Let's see, next up, okay, let's get into the top sales of the last 7 days. Of course, it gets a little bit interesting because, of course, the overworld is no longer a thing. So I'm sure a lot of people were maybe trying to sneak in and grab some awesome pickups before. You can't catch alluvials anymore unless you want to do auto drone runs. And I know personally, I don't like just pushing a button and watching the wheel spin. I am a little bit past the randomness, per se, for myself anyway. And I'm sure there's a lot of people kind of in the same boat, and they've been picking some things up. Let's take a look here at our top pickups of the last 7 days. Not going to go over every single one, but at the same time, there's a lot of interesting ones here. So I'm going to start off actually all the way down in 12th. We do have a rake getting picked up here for just under 60 bucks alongside a slash-in. And then this dual-left, it's a hollowed out dual-left if I do believe. It's going to be Nocacho actually picking this one up. So Nocacho, I believe, is currently 4th or 5th in the ranked leaderboard, picking up this dual-left. Beautiful amounts of health, attack damage, and fully loaded on Omega. Attack speed's pretty decent as well. Unfortunately, a little bit lackluster in regards to resistances, but the movement speed at least is not going to hurt it at all. So a nice little pickup here for Nocacho, caught by Phoenix Arm. So a nice little pickup there. Let's get back at it for the arena. Some more rakes being sold, another $60 rake. It looks like an Adorito showing up here as well. I refresh, and apparently a few things end up changing. A ramp fight getting picked up. A $71 Furiox. What on earth is going on for this to be so high? But Nocacho picking up yet another one, picked up by Voltage, and that is going to be nearly a perfect Furiox here. That is absolutely incredible. I wish it had some HP, but I mean, if you're doing it right, Furiox should not be taking any damage at all. 92 TPI, all offensive stats max, including its defensive resistances, just missing health. Nocacho with a nice, huge pickup. That's 2 for them so far here. My goodness. We do take a look. That is a $75 Umber. But what I'm actually more intrigued with as of this moment. Look up here. That is a foe. Is that a dark hollow foe? Oh my goodness, it actually ended up getting burnt. So Izil captured this thing. It was a relatively decent foe, all things considered. Attack speed, attack damage a little bit left to be desired, but at least you had the Omega power. And this went over the Pashok. We know Pashok's been loving these tier 5 fusions. We took a look at their Titanor, I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Did this end up being any better? Honestly, that's not too bad. And he got the Dark Hollow on top of it. There we go. While it may not necessarily be perfect offensively, Pashok actually did get the Dark Hollow on top of it. I'm hoping we can take a look here at this bird in just a moment's time. Here we go. Here we have it. This is a Dark Hollow. Just recently fused Boris. Ended up being not too shabby either, to be completely honest with you. The attack speed's maxed out. You got at least level 2 attack damage, so obviously could be better, but it could be worse at the same time. Maxed out Omega power, maxed out resistances, and let's be honest, Forest was already super fast. To have maxed out movement speed as well, that is absolutely incredible. Pashok, congratulations on your Forest. That is incredible. That is beautiful. And I gotta say, I do love being able to chase down an alluvial after they end up being used for fusion. So that's an incredible, that foe, that tiny little foe by itself was the second biggest sale of the week. But I'm seeing an Adorius here as our third. Let's take a look at this Adorius, currently owned by Blaze Leclerc. And this is honestly just a fantastic all-around Adorius. 87 TPI, and it's got maxed out Omega power. That's basically exactly what you want, while everything else is at minimum level 4. Beautiful pickup. Congratulations there, Blaze. And our top sale here of the last 7 days for the site of Arena is going to Asir. Nocacho picking up another huge one, fused by Trazen, and this is basically a perfect Seer for the most part. 98 TPI. The only thing you're missing is a little bit of Omega power, but the Seer does not mind. It's maxed out on health, it's maxed out on resistances, attack damage, attack speed, movement speed. It's got basically everything, and it's already level 60. This is going to be an absolute menace to have to deal with. Nocacho with 3 of our top picks, or the top sales of the last 7 days, if not more. I'm curious, if I click on the Umber, is that Nocacho as well? Yes, it is actually. I was just thinking, if you go for the Umber, are you then going for maybe a Seer to combo up with the Steam team? And that's exactly what happened. And this here, 94 TPI, that is an incredible lumber. Just has a little bit of leveling to go. But my goodness, Nocacho having an absolute incredible week. Let's take a look at Illuvium 0. What plots of the top 6 have been done? This is for all. Let's switch that over to the last 7 days. Top sale currently is being shown as a tier 4 plot for about 1,044 bucks. We do have a couple tier 3s as well going for just over 300 bucks a piece. Rounding up our top 6 are a couple tier 2s as well. Tier 2s looking like they're just kind of being entry level around the 100 mark, with actually this Crimson Waste one being under 100 bucks. So a nice little pickup for whomever picked up this Crimson Waste one. That's going to be Sergio picking up this tier 2. Nice little pickup. Under 100 for a tier 2, that is a good day, if I do say so myself. If we take a look at the Illuvium Beyond side of things, let's take a look at our top 6. This Geyser just under 80 bucks here, going to be rounding up the top 6. The Hollow Geyser, that's a quick steep jump in price here. My goodness, Hollow Geyser up to 143. Dual F, a nice Dual F one there as well for 162. A Fisto going for just under 200. An Adorius going for 240. And last but not least, a Rampfire for 259. Let's take a look who owns this one. It's Nocacho, oddly enough. I was saying I could have sworn I recognized this profile picture. And sure enough, that was from Nocacho. We've seen them many, many times here today. They had a fantastic week for themselves, picking up a ton of goods. And Nocacho, not just near the top of the leaderboards in terms of the arena ranked, but apparently all over our top sales for the week. With the top sales being complete, we can then take a look at the IlluviDex as a whole here. Let's take a look at our Scoriox app here, or Scoriox's app rather. Take a look and see how many things are kind of being sold as a whole here. What's been moving, what's not. Let's take a look. In terms of the Illuvium Zero plots, we were just kind of talking about them a little bit here, but we do have 19 sales overall over the last 7 days for a value of over 2,400. So up a little bit, 24% compared to the last 7 days. With most of that action looking like it's been around tier 1s. The overall trading volume going up a little bit, but the average sale going down a little bit, but 11 trades, so that's where most of the trades are happening, but there are a few happening in the other tiers as well. The one tier 4 that we saw in our top sales definitely making some big moves there, the 2 tier 3s we saw, and a couple of tier 5s, but overall a bit of a quieter day, or a quieter week for those two. And in regards to actually getting into Illuvium Zero, well, let's take a look and see what the floor price is for a couple of our plots here today. To get into a tier 1, currently, it's looking like it's only going to cost you about 32 bucks. So not too shabby, to say the least. Let's take a look at maybe a tier 2. We saw the one tier 2 that was around 80. Is that kind of the gist here? Yeah, sure enough, there's one more at about 81 bucks here. If you wanted to take this spot in Hal CNC, it could absolutely be yours for under 100, just over 80 bucks. Otherwise, it does bump up into the hundreds. If we take a look at tier 3s, how much to get into a tier 3 plot as of right now? It looks like there's a spot here in Shard Bluff that can be yours here for about 321 currently. Hovering around the high 300s, it's looking like, in order to get into a tier 3 spot. And last but not least, let's take a look at a tier 4. We saw the one go for about 1,000 earlier, but there are a few that are actually into the 900s. A couple spots in Taiga Boreal, and with how cold it is, I don't blame people for not wanting to pick it up already. It's already so cold as is. You want to keep going into the absolute Arctic freeze that is Taiga Boreal. But 920 for those two plots currently to get into a tier 4 if you were to do so right now. But tier 5s, of course, nobody really gets a hold of those. We won't worry about that for now. If we take a look at our alluvials traded, so over the last 7 days, there were 1,068 alluvials traded, down 53% compared to the last 7 days, but the value of those alluvials did go up. So while there might be less trades, they are some more valuable alluvials here, according to the Scoriox app here. ScoriaxStats.app specifically. Good morning, Squawk. Hello, hello. Hope you're having a great day. In regards to which alluvials are moving the most, or at least with the most volume, it is appearing that a little bit of a tie actually between fire, water, and earth, all within the same area in terms of total trades. But in terms of the most valuable trades, it is going all the way over to the nature side of things, with people picking things up. And I mean, we did see again the phosphorus that was, or the forest rather, that was picked up there by Pashok. And of course, I imagine natures as a whole is probably going to be in a good spot. If Umber decides to take over the arena meta, you might want some natures. And it seems like the stats are kind of telling me that that very well might be a thing. People picking up some natures to potentially go up against some of these waters later down the road. Cyforcer, hello, good morning. Hope you're having a great day. But overall, while the total trades, again, might be going down, we're seeing 50% less trades over the last 7 days on pretty much every type. The value of said trades are higher, so do keep that in mind if you're looking for some alluvials once the ZKEVM migration completes. We do have the opportunity as well to take a look and see what is still on the market. Of course, the data may be skewed a little bit because that ZKVM migration is currently in progress, so do keep that in mind. I'm going to take a look and see what kind of alluvials might be seeming a little bit scarce now that the overworld has shut down. Of course, you know me personally that I always stress looking for your tier zeros because they were scarce to begin with, and that is going to continue now that the overworld is down. We do see single digits for a lot of the evolved typos here, for example, with the highest amount or highest number I'm seeing here is the 17 fire typos. Because yeah, if these did not get the opportunity to collect your tier zeros and get them into a fighting fit state, that is absolutely devastating because they are hard to find now. Let's say, for example, like there's not even a single Exalted Earth Doka available here. And of course, when I'm saying fighting fit, I'm referring to an alluvial that is at least 85 TPI or higher. Where is it? I always like to take a look at the Grotko, because I consider the Grotko to be probably the best of the tier zeros. Yeah, only one Exalted Air Grotko listed that's fighting fit, and if I were to click on over to it, I wonder how much is this thing actually going for. Yeah, do you want to play 314 bucks for a tier 0? That's incredible. Again, this was a free-to-play alluvial, but just finding the good ones, finding the ones that are fighting fit, were very, very difficult, and whoever ended up actually being able to get those, I'll tell you what, you're in luck. Oh, this one's Dark Hollow. I'm curious as to what they're selling this thing for. This one's going up for 314 as well, my goodness. I thought that because it was Dark Hollow, then maybe it'd be a little bit more, but still, pretty crazy considering that was an alluvial, which I could have gotten for free. But let's take a look at the other tiers while we're here. Let's hop on over to the tier 1, start things off there. The Axodon line looking pretty healthy though, 82 currently listed to be in fighting fit. Meanwhile, the Apons a little bit less to be desired compared to the Axodon that has 82 fighting fit. Axodon is ready to be picked up. The Exalted Apon, for instance, only has 35, so not necessarily in like a big time scarcity range, but much harder to find compared to, say, an Axodon. Kukaraf looks like they're doing just fine. The Chakondi line is doing pretty fine as well. Same thing here with the Exalted Gorilla. However, how about our monk here? 55 here onto the monk here, not too bad. The Riley line with 64 Exalteds available, or Exalteds, stage 3s available. Similar scenario here for the Totofi line where the Sepphoris has 63 available. So honestly, the tier 1s right now, you're probably okay. Not a bad spot as of right now. The only thing that was oddly enough extremely low was just the Apons. Lynx is, if you want to get yourself a baby Lynx, there's still 159 of them available, so you're looking good there. But once you start getting into stage 2s and stage 3s, that's where things are getting a little bit difficult. We're seeing plenty of tanks, 43 of them available, but when you start looking at the rest of them, 39 fighters, 37 rogues, 30 of the Scions, and 27 empath Lynxes, or the virtuous Lynxes. And then, God forbid, you're trying to find a stage 3, that's where things get difficult, where we're seeing very, very low double digits, if not single digits available for a lot of these Lynxes. And I'm definitely going to take a look at the Arcane Terror Lynx. Of course, I found an absolute godlike one in my very final stream. I think it was about 92 TPI, so if kind of matched it, that'd be like about an 18 buck Lynx. But I don't care necessarily about doing the marketplace myself, but I do like to know how much things are valued for. But you can see some of these fully evolved Lynxes looking about $6 to $9 to kind of get yourself a fighting fit one. Let me quickly hop on back. Did I break all of my filters? I very well might have. Let's fix that up real quick. Let's see, of all of the Lynxes, which one looks like it's the most scarce as of right now? I see 9 currently for the Nimble Ember Lynx. 8 for a couple of these fully evolved Stoics. 7, 6 available. It's just going lower and lower, it seems. 5 for the Stoic Hydra Lynx and the Stoic Terra Lynx. And now I think I'm starting to get some repeats. So, yeah, about 5 available. So, trying to get yourself a fully evolved Lynx, considering there's so many of them, hard to come by, it seems. Lots of single digits in regards to Lynx availability. Let's hop over to Tier 3 here in just a moment. And of course, as we do go up in the tiers, that means we're going up in rarity. So the average is going to come down ever so slightly due to the nature of just the natural rarities. But we can even see right here, right now, Anteater line, I mean, you're eating good. There's still plenty of Anteaters available alongside Fennec Foxes. Komodo Dragons, a little bit lower. And then the Penguins were the ones that were before a little bit harder to get. But as of right now, I'd argue that really only Slashin' is the hardest one to really find as of this moment. We'll take a look at that in just a second. We'll take a look at the Poodlemoth line here with Ace. Actually, looks like Monarch is kind of having a bit of a hard time. We'll take a look at them here as well. See Scorpion line here with the Riptor, with the Rip Lance specifically, just over 30 available. We'll take a look at that in a moment. And you're trying to pick up a Fighting Fit Gnarl. It looks like you're still in fine shape. Same here with the Malura line. So there seems to be 3 of these tier 3s that are a little bit contested, but not in dire straits as of this moment. Quickly fix up my filter here in a second once the computer catches up. And let's take a look at some of these tier 3s that were a little bit scarce. If you're trying to get yourself a... Oh! This one was supposed to be the Penguin. Let's get the Penguin. Take a look at the Penguin. If you're trying to get a Fighting Fit Penguin, even though they're a little bit on the low side of the amount that are actually listed, you can walk away with one right now for either $5 or $6. It does jump up pretty quickly, but you will absolutely be paying a premium if you start looking towards the 90 TPI or higher mark, where we're seeing that floor actually being about $30. And then I was taking a look from there. This was supposed to be the Monarch. We'll take a look at Monarch next here. Then while that's loading, this one was supposed to be Riptorus. We'll do that as well before we move on to our tier 4s. Okay, so we get what I would consider a Fighting Fit Monarch, for example. Here, you're actually looking like $5, but then it jumps. So as soon as these 2 Monarchs are out of here, you will be paying double digits for a Monarch, it looks like. And it does escalate pretty quickly, so you Inferno Arcanite players, if you haven't done so already, you might want to find yourself a Monarch before things get too crazy with the scarcity, now that Overworld is gone. Riplance here as well. Actually, it's a Hollow that is the floor here, but you are into the double digits here already, with 15 being the floor. Yeah, Riplance seems to be a very contested unit, because it's just so... Of course, it's a water type, so bear me the pun, but it's so splashable onto so many teams. You don't mind having it with an Umber, you don't mind having it with Mud, and you essentially don't mind having it, period. There's never a time where I see Riptor in my shop and I'm thinking to myself, like, oh, do I really... Why is this taking up a spot? I'm never mad seeing Riptor. So, I mean, a Riplance is just that good, I suppose. If we take a look at our tier 4s, what seems to be on the low side here, we do have some Mammoths lower than 20. Get that one moving here in a second. The Seer, of course, we saw one of the biggest sales of the week was a Seer. I'm going to quickly try to take a look here at that as well. How about the Polar Bear? I mean, there's still 27 of them available. 15 Blazonites. It's looking like, how about our Scorioxes? Almost 30 of them still available, so looking pretty healthy here for the Scoriox line. But then the Umbers and the Rakes are both extremely low. Heck, even the Dashes, I'd argue, for this being a stage 1, that is extremely low. 33 Dashes listed. I feel like we're going to have an instance, again, not financial advice, this is just me talking about it like a game, but I can see a world where we're actually running out of Umbers, where they're like, they could potentially go extinct before set 2 even comes around at all, just because they're so like sought after, so to speak. Especially if they do end up being godlike in the Risk to Earn Battle Royale. I can see a world where we burn through these things. Entry level, get yourself the fully evolved mammoth here, the Mamu. You can get it for about 25 bucks, it looks like, with a quick jump up to 37. So, Fighting Fit Mammoth's a little bit hard to find as of this moment, but its crowd control and tankiness is definitely super, super valuable. I know I absolutely love my mammoth on my Scion team. Very, very core to that squad. If we take a look at the Seer, minimum price here is about 25 going into 36. And right after that, we're seeing a massive jump up to the 60s and then another massive jump up to the 80s. So people really wanting Seers apparently, especially since we know how valuable they are in a Steam Harbinger kind of composition. But again, you also like it with Inferno Arcanites, just fire in general. Seer, just again, never a bad pickup. In regards to the Blazonite, 22 for a Fighting Fit one as of this moment, jumping up to 31 and then 47 respectively. So not too bad, all things considered. Bloods are doing okay. It's only the Geyser that's a little bit low. Currently 10 of them showing up. I click on Geyser, then I'll click on Umber to see where that one's going. In regards to the Geysers, you can tell that these ones are getting scarce because they're jumping up in price pretty quickly already. 37 going up into the 60s right off the rip here. To find a Geyser, again, only 10 of those currently available in a Fighting Fit state. And then how about this one will be the Umber. Let's take a look at that here in just a moment's time. If we were to go look for an Umber right here, right now, I mean, they've already been kind of expensive. Right now, they're not brutal. It's expensive, but it's not brutal in my opinion right now. You can get 8 for 87 TPI. You can get one for about 41 bucks. Does eventually jump up a little bit. Going into the 90 TPIs, yeah, okay, you're absolutely paying a premium for that. But as it stands right now, even though there's only the 19 listed, 40 bucks for a Fighting Fit Umber is honestly not too bad in my opinion. How about our tier 5s? Let's take a look at those to wrap up our IlluviDex recap of the week. And what kind of scarcity are we looking at here? Of course, tier 5s, the rarest Illuvials to find in the game, to the point where even the baby ones, like little Scarebuck here, are hard to find. A little bit of an uptick here in regards to the Adors, at least. They were in single digits, I believe, last week, so now they're up to 11. Not too bad there. If we were to take a look at Titanor, for example, if you're trying to get this fully evolved, beautiful beetle, the absolute rock in the front line. For a Fighting Fit Titanor, you're looking at least 150, quickly jumping up into the 200s right after that, it looks like. And then how about Adorius? We're in the single digits now for this one. Only 5 available. And you are going to absolutely be paying a premium for this one. Look at this, a Fighting Fit Adorius. Just under 200 at the minimum, immediately jumping up to 600. So a lot of people very much so valuing Adorius as of this moment. And to be fair, probably one of, if not the best support in the game. And it's being treated as such. For the second week in a row here for the dual Fs, there are only the 2 available. There's going to be the one hollowed out one that was pretty high price. I was into the multi-thousands. Yeah, so the 18K dual F. But then we're actually seeing here right next to it, one with better TPI going for 2,109. That is absolutely incredible. But I mean, they can get away with charging these premiums because nobody else seems to have them. Thanks for recaps. My pleasure. My pleasure. Siddhartha, thank you so much. Had to take a second there to make sure I didn't butcher your name. If I didn't, my apologies. By all means, let me know how to specifically pronounce it, and I'll make sure that I get it right for the next time. I was gonna say, there's no way there's 96 ramp fires, but I didn't have my filters on. Okay, that's a little bit more reasonable here. We do have 8 available in regards to the pterodactyl line, or the ramp fire in particular. Ramp fight, I know, is specifically being used a lot. You see ramp fight a lot more often. Much easier to get compared to the stage 3 variant. I'd like to get to the squiz line, just gotta get this dang thing to load. You can do it. There we go. Only 6 Aphistos available, my goodness. And then for the Terror Birds, only 5 available there as well. Of course, the Phosphoruses, we've been kind of keeping track of them over the last couple of weeks. And we've been seeing easily multi-hundreds every single week, and that's not going to change here this week. There's so many strong Phosphoruses, and they are absolutely being charged a premium for them. Because, yeah, you find one of these in your arena match, and it is absolutely going to carry you for days. With the floor of this one being 346. If we take a look at, let's say, the ramp fight. Let's not do ramp fire right away, because again, ramp fight gets used a lot. I'm curious as to what that's looking like. So even just the stage 2 rampy, so the ramp fight is currently 76, but that's going to jump up pretty quickly into the 120s, into the 150s. Now, if I take a look at ramp fire, let's see what we end up working with. Take a look at that here in just a second. I'm curious about that Aphisto, though. To round up our list. So here, ramp fire, basically a little less than double of a ramp fight for at least the first one here. This one looking rather on the inexpensive side, oddly enough. I don't want to call 237 inexpensive. That's 100% expensive. That's out of my price range for basically anything. But for more of these fighting fit ramp fires, we're looking into the 378s, and then immediately after that, we're getting into the thousands when we start looking at some of these alluvials with 93 or close to 90. Multi-thousands for ramp fires, which is absolutely incredible. Just, it's going to get worse with the scarcity, with how Overworld is now gone. So this is going to be a tough time for anybody who might be just kind of starting up their collection. If you want to hop into the swing of things and get into fighting fit alluvials right now, it's a little bit rough. But those that might have spent all the time farming and catching alluvials earlier for the last couple of years and whatnot, this is going to be like your best chance to shine, especially competing in the arena, competing in the tournaments. It's going to be absolutely incredible. A couple decent Aphistos actually for under 200. Then we're immediately shooting right up into the 500s after the fact. And with that, that is basically the IlluviDex section in a nutshell. I imagine scarcity is only going to get worse as weeks go on. When tournaments start getting announced, I imagine it'll get crazier and crazier. Now we're going to hop on over to the community section. I'm not going to talk about streaming right away because I might need to ask you for a little bit of help if this is something that you're interested in. Because currently there is a community project going on. It's actually created by someone I was working with in the Illuvium Pro League. Of course, one of my co-commentators and my producer, Paz, has actually made what he's calling Dronestone. If we take a look at this right here, it is basically a Hearthstone kind of inspired card game based in the Illuvium universe. We're seeing what looks like a lot of the Illuvatars potentially, and the characters from Illuvium in a card game format. And Paz asked me for feedback on the game, but here's the thing. I really don't like card games. I don't know what kind of feedback that I can give him specifically. Tell him how good it is or how it should improve. Because no matter how good it is, I'm probably just not going to like the game because I don't like card games. So if there's anybody who's interested in giving this a shot, it is free on Epic Games. You can pick it up. And I'll put in the description of the YouTube stream after the fact. It'll be the feedback form for the feedback to get directly to Paz. But definitely, if this is kind of down your alley, definitely recommend giving it a shot and letting Paz know what you think about it, because I think it's cool. I love that this exists. It's just personally not my kind of thing, but I'm sure it could be pretty cool. And of course, yes, shout out to Phantom Guild as well. Squawky just gave him feedback on it. Beautiful. Awesome. Now let's take a look at this, who's been streaming over the last little bit. And I tell you what, it's not just me and Big Man this time. And Crypto Quick Chat. So with the, first off, the overworld closing, people started streaming their final runs, which was pretty cool to see. And then with the streaming ban being lifted on the Illuvium playtest, we've been seeing a lot more action in regards to people streaming Illuvium, streaming their playtest runs, and stuff like that. So if we take a look at the, Twitch side of things, there are a handful of different streams. It's not just mine. Of course, Illuvium is going to be here, considering they're also doing their town halls. But we have a couple people here. So Quant's doing their first look of the pre-alpha for the MMO Lite. Zerber369 has been showing up a lot over the last week or two with their, whether it be their final Illuvium overworld, because they just got into the game, I believe, actually. So they got into the game and basically had to speed run their collection as quickly as possible. So they've done that. Now they're getting into the arena, which is awesome to see. I'm looking forward to seeing more of their streams. Big Man JB back at it again with a mixture of arena plus the pre-alpha for the MMO. Good to see there. Life on the Shore, that is a new one here for me. First time seeing them preparing for the MMO with their final overworld runs. Anybody else I missed here? We have some more from Quants. We have the real Guccido. That's the first time I'm seeing them stream Illuvium. So good to see them as well. So a lot more action in terms of content kind of being made around Illuvium. I absolutely love to see it. Like I say time and time again, anytime that I'm not streaming and I'm just working on videos on the side, I am looking for other streams to watch. I have community tabs open. I'm looking for something. So when I see other people doing it, it makes me happy and I happily tune in. How about the YouTube side of things? Of course, the Illuvium Town Halls. And then we do have the Illuvium Overworld is dead, but it's a good thing. Scoriox with a good little breakdown as to why Overworld's shutdown is leading more so towards a positive, or let me use the terms right, a bullish future here for Illuvium as to why Overworld going down is a good thing, why it's bullish for the community. And tomorrow, of course, we are going to have the Download podcast with the MMO being kind of the main topic. It's looking like we're going to be touching on it now that I believe every one of us would have played, every one of us on the podcast would have played it by now. So I'm sure we'll have some opinions on all of that. That'll be tomorrow. That's 6 in the morning for myself, but looking forward to that nonetheless. More town halls, couple of final overworld marathons. We got Crypto Quick Chat. I mentioned them earlier in there. There's Zerber, Gaming Daily, touching on Illuvium as well. McQuan showing up here for some arena, it looks like. Zerber, Big Man. Inspector Mindblow touching on it a little bit as to crypto games right now. One of the few people that that have kind of touch on the play to earn side of things, but isn't completely out of it, if that makes sense. I like Inspector Mindblow, but they're touching on Illuvium ever so slightly. Good to see. And then we get into the, yeah, you know. We get into the the other stuff. But with that, that is the end here of This Week in Illuvium. Essentially recapped all of the news. If you would like, of course, I do all of these streams live, and then I give my personal thoughts on everything after the fact while I'm either playing Arena or playing Zero. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to do in Illuvium Zero, so I'm probably going to yap about it a little bit after we close out for this portion of the show. If you're watching live, of course, I'm not going anywhere. But that was a lot we had to talk about. It was a good time, and of course there is still 2 more town halls happening. One tonight for an MMO-focused town hall, and then tomorrow will be the risk to earn plus staking side of things, so a more Web3 focused kind of town hall to wrap things up. On Friday for my stream, I will gladly take a look at it myself while I'm I would have watched it, but I'll discuss it as well while I'm doing some arena battles. It's not just Lars that passed me now. Nick's hype passed me. I gotta get back into the top 10. But, alright. That's it for the This Week in Illuvium side of things. Quick little adjustments as I open things up here. Again, big thank you to everybody for tuning in. Let's see. Do this. 0. There we go. My green screen broken. Oh no, it worked the first time. Let's go. Perfect. Okay, there we go. Thank you for waiting. Thank you, Fox. Much appreciated. Okay, so I'll start with the arena because I think that's probably the one that I'm most interested and probably the most like not directly involved as if I'm making any choices, no, but obviously the excuse me, not obviously, but arena is easily the thing next to the MMO that I'm most interested in and how it turns out, especially for not just personal entertainment, but just for content side of things, because it's probably the thing that I make the most content about as of right now. So we'll touch on that first. So first off, in regards to tournaments coming, I was really worried when they mentioned the Illuvium Beyond sponsorship tie-in tournaments, because as of that moment, that was the only tournament that was currently known about. And especially if there is, it's going to be tied into Beyond, so I imagine that you'll probably have to like buy packs or something in order to get the battle board to get into the tournament or something along those lines. I don't know the details in particular, but I imagine there's some sort of tie-in where being a part of Beyond gets you into said tournament or something along those lines, potentially. So, because that was the only tournament that's available, I was a little bit irked, but with Kieran coming on yesterday and saying that there's more tournaments coming and that they want to have something somewhat consistently, that's not necessarily like a super high, like, payout, like major, incredibly huge prize pool, but at least have something consistent that people can take part of, regardless of if you're a top player or not. That made me happy to hear about, big time. Because it's something that we definitely need. I know you've probably heard me talk about the Dreamers esports side of things before, and those were just small tournaments. But at least it was something to keep the competitive community going. And even just getting something like that on a somewhat consistent basis again would be very, very nice to see. So hearing that the tournaments are coming back is definitely a positive, in my opinion. The fact that Ascendant is coming back, that's kind of what got me started into the Illuvium Arena as the Auto Battler as a whole. Then I was kind of forced to get into a position where Ascendant went down, so I better learn how to do the 8-player battle royale, or not the 8-player battle royale, but the 8-player version of Gauntlet. Otherwise, I just wouldn't be playing Illuvium, period. I am happy that it's coming back. I do think the idea of like Ascendant-focused tournaments also, like just little small things like that would be kind of cool. Because what I worry about an Ascendant competitive scene, like, wouldn't everybody just be playing Steam Harbinger? Or like Nature Phosphorus kind of styles? Because I do worry that Ascendant coming back would get figured out extremely quickly. And if people think that the Gauntlet is stale, at least there you have 8 players total, and they're kind of competing with each other for the same units. But I can see Ascendant getting to a spot where it's extremely and brutally formulaic and extremely figured out. But I'm happy that it's still coming back for like a quick thing. Speaking of phosphorus, that's one of the ones I needed here. Let's go. This means I only have one more blueprint. Or not blueprints, one more piece of biodata that I have to find. There we go. Don't worry, I'm not going to flashbang you with my spreadsheets, but now this means the only biodata I need is Rampfire. Rampfire is the last one I need. And I've got all 3 of these plots pumping out scans. Then it's just a matter of making blueprint combos. Thank you, Fox. Speaking of which, Fox Oracle, how'd you like getting name dropped for being one of the people that kicked Kieran's ass constantly on the town hall last night? I thought that was kind of funny. In regards to set 1B, so I was kind of surprised actually that set 1B, the way that they're talking about it at least, is that it's more so of alluvials being modified rather than new alluvials coming in to fill gaps, which that definitely took me by surprise. I mean, I'm open for it, but because these are alluvials that people have gone out of their way to catch, or maybe even just recently picked up, I understand needing to balance things, but if they get like changed considerably, like say they have different affinities or say they have different abilities, that would kind of weird me out a little bit, but not the end of the world, but it does feel a little bit odd. Like, imagine people are like buying up Umbers in droves right now, and then all of a sudden Umber ends up being a, let's say, a nature empath, or a fire empath. Like, that's a pretty considerable shift. That's an extreme modification. But I'm just very, very curious, and I would love to know more as to what they meant by Set 1B modifying Illuvials. I'm kind of pausing here for a second because this one's actually exciting me. We're here on a shard bluff, which means I have a little bit of a better chance of finding fire. I've got 4 of these tier 5 scanners, or no, I have 3 of them. This one's also a tier 4. So this one's here for just a bonus. It's a Lynx. I'll take the Lynx wholeheartedly. Welcome aboard, Nimble Zephyr Lynx. But I have 3 shots here at a ramp fire. Could we possibly pick it up here today? Lightning's not going to strike twice, so not going to happen this time. That's alright, though. The fact that the goal is within reach, having all biodata, like, I'm not sure what I'm going to even do with myself. I'm going to have all these scanners probably just sitting on the sidelines until Set 2 inevitably comes to 0, which is probably going to be, what, a year? So it's going to be a while. But we kind of focus more on blueprint production at that point. Rewards being worked on. Now, this one, I mean, I know a lot of people don't agree with me with my mindset on this one, but I'm still of the mindset that monetary rewards for the ranked ladder should not be a thing at all. I do not believe that, unless it's maybe fuel. If it's something that stays in the game, sure, I'm kind of okay in that regard. But I really don't like the idea of the whole just play to earn aspect. And I've seen or heard that Kira is referring to it as a necessary evil, and that players have been trained to expect it, sort of thing. And I just keep thinking to myself, yes, because everybody keeps caving to it. It's like, I still don't believe that monetary value should be given out in ranked modes. We don't see this in any Web 2 game. Like I said before, I don't see Activision Blizzard paying out the top 50 players in Overwatch or Call of Duty. I don't see League of Legends paying the top 50 or top 100 players something of monetary value for being their top challengers or whatever in ranked. You don't see that anywhere for ranked modes. Tournaments, hell yeah, go for it. So I'm still absolutely of the mindset that as much as it's probably an easier thing to just throw money at the ranked leaderboard so that you don't have to get somebody to work on cosmetics, I still think that it would be healthier for the game as a whole if it were the cosmetics idea that I was talking about before in past streams, where it'd be very, very easy to say that this is the year of, or this is the season of the Archelion, and take the skins that you already have, literally just move the hue shift button a little bit, change it up and make it exclusive so that it's something that people can have that's exclusive to them. Like, and if you wanted to not just hue shift it, like make it a gold trim kind of thing, because I still don't believe that even if it was smaller amounts, the practice should not be a thing. The Web3 currencies are potentially the future. Using ETH is part of what players use to purchase items in the marketplace. Thing is, though, I can get to that mindset where Ethereum or whatnot is kind of like used in the marketplace, but I guess you're not guaranteed to keep it there. But the thing is were the rewards actually in ETH? Because I thought it was in ILV. Let me check my own for a second. Let me remind myself. I still don't like it either way. I can't go to the reward site right now. I thought it was an ILV. I always got my rewards out in fuel, but I remember in the past anyway it was ILV. Okay, so I guess even if it is for Ethereum, but yes, I get that you could technically use that in the marketplace, but there's no guarantee that it stays there, right? Like, it could get, as the term would be coined, it could just be extracted, right? So that's why I still, even if it's Ethereum and it technically could go back into the marketplace, I would still much rather it be an exclusive skin, an exclusive suit skin, an exclusive drone skin, or something along those lines, where, like, if the person who earned it wanted to sell it on the market, they could, if that's how they want to make money, but it's for sure staying within... The original reward is staying within the community and staying within the game, if that makes sense. That's just me. It's not necessarily a hill that I'm going to die on. I'm open to being, like, talking about it, but at least personally, I still do not think that technically direct monetary rewards should be in ranked. I remember I got ILV for rewards in the past, but that might have been extremely early in the system. Like back when airdrops were still a thing. Yeah, regardless of which token, like if you're just giving away direct monetary value as a reward, I still don't like it, regardless of how it's done. So I personally hope that there is actually cosmetics attached to it, but I also do understand that, like, it'd probably be somebody that would be taken off of developing something else to, even if it's a somewhat small modification to a skin, it's taking away their workload from somewhere else. So they might just rather throw money at the ranked leaderboard because it saves the amount of staff they're using. So, like, I'm not gonna rage, I'm not gonna get angry if it ends up being something monetary again, but you know, at least personally, I just don't like it. That's just me. This plot here is just a bunch of tier 3 scanners. I'm just trying to use this to help support the blueprints. And Fox, you asked a little bit up here, so I'm focused on primarily getting all bio data before focusing on blueprints. Yes, because my plots are majority tier 1, and you don't make enough fuel to do both. The only reason I'm doing it right now here on this tier 1 is because I have nothing else to do, or nothing else that I want to do with my current plots, and I have a bunch of fuel built up just from logging in pretty consistently, but then not actually doing anything. Because normally I would not be able to afford to even go for both of these. I'll take the Quinks. Rylu, we'll scoop them up as well. Arcane Links, we're getting a bunch of them here on this plot. So I just have access fuel to burn for this plot in particular. But for most of them, yeah, I'm just going for biodata first, then I'll redirect that fuel into the research labs later. I'm hoping to score a blueprint here for a combo. Not gonna happen today, though. That's alright. When another set comes in, not every Illuvio will be in the arena. So this was a little bit interesting. I was curious as to how they would handle this, because I imagine as more and more Illuvials get added in, like just the odds, the chances of things actually being hit in the arena shop, for example, that all changes. And it would make playing the game a little bit tough. So I am definitely interested to see how they end up handling Like how certain alluvials will be in the arena at certain times, some won't be. It is an interesting thought, to say the least. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I get it. Like, there's too many alluvials for a standard TFT run, so to speak. Hey, we'll take the cling. Sent these off. Yeah, that's one way to look at it. Consistent accumulation ahead of the monetary power curve. I mean, if it ends up being something, like, I'm not going to lie. Like, it's not my... You've heard me talk about it over and over again. Like, getting money from the game or somehow being able to profit off of the game is not my priority. However, I am going to be happy if it does happen. It's not like I'm going to be angry by any means. So, I'm collecting blueprints because I want to be able to, like, make skins, for example, for my rangers. And if there happens to be other uses for it, that's absolutely incredible. If blueprints themselves eventually get another kind of use of some sort, then those things end up being valuable. I am extremely blessed to have been able to collect them just by enjoying the game. So, oh, absolutely. Would end up being a little bit ahead of the curve, but it's more of a happy accident than anything. Let's see. If I found the cling, because I don't have to be patient with this plot. This is a tier 3 plot, of course, right? Okay, cling. I have 2 suits for it, and I have all the drones for it? Oh, of all tier 3s then that I could have gotten. Alright, I guess I won't fire off research then for that one. Do need to eventually get a data bank for this plot, though. In fact, I think I'll start building one now. Do that to pop open the plants that inevitably pops up. And let's see. Then take the spot here near my research labs. And put you here. And we'll start building that. And we'll kill the plant that spawned. There we go. In regards to the Arena Mobile, it is a little bit unfortunate that it's so far away, but I get that they've got a lot on their plate right now, to say the least. I imagine that it would be a huge way to break out and increase player base. But if it's not ready, it's not ready. 3 to 6 months, though, is definitely pretty huge. And it was reassuring, though, that once Arena's developed and whatnot, like, okay, sure, the development for new things for Arena might end up going down because the developers would then be getting put onto the MMO. But it's nice to hear that they're not going to just shut down the Arena just for the sake of saving money, because apparently it's not that expensive to run the server for it, which is definitely promising. That they'd only have to do it if it was like, if they were basically going down in the first place. So all that is definitely reassuring. I'm a little bit ahead of the game, oddly enough, here today. Have enough time to squeak in maybe an arena game. I'll keep yapping about the town halls, though, as we're going through here. And then I was also very promising to hear that they are trying to get some sort of Web 2, I guess, marketing strategy, I guess you can call it. They didn't really give much details as to what it was, but they are looking for what sounds like some sort of Web 2 player-focused push, which is definitely what I feel like is going to be beneficial. Because I imagine that there is more players out there like me that are fed up with Pokemon and are looking for an alternative. And I mean, I found my home here. I'm enjoying myself. I've not touched Pokemon in at least a year. Illuvium up here in just a second. There we are. Up on in there. Because I tell you what, the Web3 the Web3 stigma hurts the game so damn badly. Like, I can tell. On one hand, I'm happy because my YouTube shorts are getting out to more people. But the amount of comments that I do receive where someone's like, "Oh, what is this?" and somebody replies right under, "This looks like some sort of crypto rug pull to me. This looks like some sort of crypto bullshit." Or, "I wouldn't bother with this. This looks like it's Web3." And then just explaining, it's like, yes, there is Web3 elements, but you don't need it, and you don't have to buy anything. And then somebody, I think just yesterday, it's like, oh, just because just the Web3 implementation is enough for me to not want to touch the game. I'm not gonna yuck your yum or something like that. The stigma sucks, mate. Like, it's brutal. Cyforce, are you queued up as well? Alright. Good luck, have fun when we inevitably run into each other. And I do not mind, of course, if you still have the stream running, by all means. I don't care about stream sniping or anything along those lines. I'm just looking for a fun time. Yeah, so if there's some way... It's a hell of a task, because the way that the person in the last comment that I was discussing, like, their mindset was, I get it, because for pretty much every other Web3 game out there, I have the exact same mindset. But how am I supposed to convince somebody that, like, yeah, every other Web3 game out there is trash, except this one? That sounds like I have something to sell you, or that sounds like I have some sort of investment, or something that I'm hiding from you to sell you, to profit on, so to speak. And if somebody really wanted to dig, it's like, yes, I have some ILV tokens from my time working at the Illuvium Pro League. Yes, I have some Illuvium Zero plots that, in theory, could have bigger value sometime down the road if it's wanted. Yes, I have Illuvials that are NFTs that, in theory, could have their price go up or down sometime down the road. So people can look at what I'm doing and it's like, oh, you're only promoting this game, or you're only playing this game because you want it to look good to trick other people to come in so that your stuff gets more valuable. And I can't fault them for that mindset. I get it, because there's a lot of people that do that. But I'm just playing the one game that I'm actually having fun with. That's literally it. Heck, even what I just said could be taken as dishonest to a lot of those people, and I do not blame them. I do not blame them at all. That's why I say, hey, I get it. I'm not going to fight you. I understand. Because, yeah, I look at any other Web3 game out there, and I see this as, this is just a crappier Call of Duty. This is just a crappier Eve. This is just a crappier Stardew Valley, or something along those lines. Illuvium is the one thing where it's like, okay, you could claim that this is crappier Pokemon, but there is so much more to this than just creatures. And I guess you can argue the same thing about these other games, but just on first glance, right? The stigma is going to be there. And I'm along for the ride. Not because I care about getting a return on investment. This is just where I'm having fun. I say this time and time again, the moment that this stops being fun, I will disappear. Regardless of how deep I am into the game or into the ecosystem. But I do want to see it succeed. And that's why, like, I'm not afraid to give my opinions on, like, game direction, game design, or anything. Of course, I don't know everything. I'm not internal by any means. But if I don't like something, like, for the longest time, I was very vocal about how leveling sucks. And I shared a very, very similar sentiment with the rest of the community who were also saying the same thing that eventually got changed. And I'm very, very thankful. Yeah, I didn't start playing this game because it was pay to earn. I didn't come play this game because it was because it's crypto or Web3, because it's the future. No. I just think the creatures are pretty damn cute. And pretty cool. Oh no. Well, this is different. I might have just gotten booted from that game. Let me relog and see what happens there. Yeah, because that was a weird error. I've never gotten that error before. Yeah, no worries. Oh, a couple of you's got the same error? Okay, so it's not just me. Fox, are you in game? Okay, yeah, Cyforcer got the error as well, it looks like. Yeah. Okay, so Fox, you got the same thing. Or, that is the error code that I got, yes. Missing email or... Okay, so all of you's got it. Okay, hang on a minute. We'll try and remake. Yep, that's the first time I've gotten that. Back in queue? Okay, let's fire it off. Let's try that again. Of course, lots of work being done behind the scenes, migration and all that stuff. So, I imagine, and I kind of went into this week knowing that there could be just generic gameplay problems here and there. Yeah, if it happens 3 times in a row... Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, just kind of related to the migration, exactly. Try it again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, it is what it is, we'll try again Friday. While we're in queue, though, I can yap about some of the other topics here, because while the arena is one that I was very, very happy about, or that I follow a ton, there's, of course, Zero as well. I'm thankful that Kieran was at least honest that, like, Zero kind of feels like it's in a rough spot right now, with it being not as impactful. And was have actual login problems. No, it did get me back in the second time around. Oh, just like in general lately? I've not noticed any, no. And first and foremost with the Zero Town Hall. So I was happy to hear that even if the land plots do end up becoming valuable, that they aren't going to necessarily just make a bunch more and like sell more. That way those that do actually have plots definitely are the go-to people to go to get those work done, the pieces done, whatever it happens to be. The only thing I do worry about, and where I'd be okay if they eventually sold more and made more, is if all of these people have land plots but don't actually play the game. And there's so much relying on Illuvium 0 players to actually do that the demand is extremely scarce. Because if there's some sort of system where the MMO is relying heavily on Illuvium 0 players, but Illuvium 0 players aren't actually, there's not enough of them playing the game. So MMO players have their progress stuck. You can lose people that way, and I really, really hope that while I would love to see that 0 is core and is needed and people need to lean on 0 players, I just hope that it's not a hard lock to progression to work with the 0 player. Yeah, first thing, I definitely want to see the training gems, though. 100%. As while the experience boosters... Did we get everything? Okay, everybody's back in here again, but do we actually get into game? Second time the charm? If you know how to save 0, yeah, just write it down. Okay, we're actually in game. Here we go. Everybody make it? Oh, I see Cyforcer and everybody's picking Lubules. Yeah, we're golden. There we go. Alright, I think we're all good. We got G-Hamster in here as well. Vima's here as well. Sweet. Alright, we're good. Good luck, have fun. And then Kieran's mindset with the competitiveness and like how to get involved with 0 seems to kind of be in the same sort of mindset that I'm at, where like where the players are kind of negotiating with each other a little bit. Like how I made the comment that I want to turn my plots into a daycare, and like you're renting out my gym, like say a buck a day or whatever it happens to be. Like it seems like that they have this similar kind of mindset. I definitely look forward to seeing where that goes, and I definitely want to see what else can kind of be added that kind of behaves not exactly that way, but somewhat similarly. Because while I do want 0 to have tons and tons of utility, I don't want it to just turn into like a grand old sales pitch, where everything is about it is to try to make a sale. And then Blueprints not having a role right now is a little bit odd, but I do have an idea that I did actually send over to Carrie about how I would use Blueprints. Because hearing that they didn't have a use right now, that kind of spooked me. Because what I would want, in theory, if you want to keep it so that Blueprints can behave somewhat similarly to how they currently do. Here, let me see what's picked up here. I need to pay attention for a second, sorry. Fox has Scion Shield. Let's see. Cyforcer's Fire. G-Hamster's playing Mud. Demon's got that. Empath. Okay. Not the best scenario here for myself personally, but we could still get the job done. Yeah, sorry, so for a Blueprint idea. Because if I think, like I played a lot of Final Fantasy XIV, and there's dyes in the game, right? So you can just take whatever armor that you have and make it the color. If you took the blueprint that you currently have and you can maybe turn it into a dye that is based off of the Alluvial's colors that we already know, And that way you can either like put the die on your own armor, or just give that die to other people to use for their armor. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Okay, G-Hamster's probably gonna take me out here, but we'll see in just a second. Oh, my ranger got absolutely clapped. But dies is the big idea, I guess, that I had in regards to the blueprints. That way, it's a bit familiar. It kind of behaves similarly to what we've seen in the past for other MMORPGs. I feel like it'd be kind of fun. I could see worlds too where if you happen to have a blueprint for, say, a Rhoda, would there be a way that you could take it? Because if you have a blueprint of a Rhoda, it's like you've analyzed, you've researched the Rhoda to know its inside and out, right? So in theory, couldn't you then maybe make something that gives you a experience boost for a Rota specifically? Potentially? That'd be another way that I do it. Put this up here. Wifey lost her glasses. No idea where they could be. Okay, so with this current setup, so I imagine that G-Hamster is going to probably go for Mud, but as of right now, I only see water. We're all maxed out now on credits, potentially. Something like this for the time being. There's the restoration. Give you a tank augment. And recycle you. Give you an omega boost. That's what we'll do for now. Let's see if we win this fight. Wally, I think, is a bot, so I think we'll be okay. And Kuka, actually, I'll pick that one up. Put Kara Blue back so that I can actually have max interest. And now we can actually start playing the game a little bit. Okay. So. Doyle, come on out, my friend. Lynx, you go somewhat in the front line, but not completely. Funkier. Ranger, there we go. So we've got Aegis online to boost this monkey for now. Whether that actually becomes the carry I go for, I'm not quite sure. Up against Psyforcer this time, and their Lynx is in a good spot, actually. Nice one at that. It's just a matter of if the monkey actually survives. It at least is in range of my Lynx. That's a lot of damage still coming on through. Lynx, can you close up the shop here? There we go. Nicely done. Just enough. Okay, let's level. We've got another tank that we can throw on board now. More attack damage, yes please. Max health for the speed. I think the health. Based off of the current position, I am going to move my alluvials ever so slightly. Something like that. I got plenty of credits, so I got to figure out what my next move is real fast. I probably should have actually already leveled a bunch. Yeah, Fox Oracle squad is going to be too beefy. They do have the level advantage here onto me as well. While my Monkier is doing some work, that is just still a very, very tanky squad. And my Monkier's out of range of the heal, so it's relying on kills. It is going to eventually get shut down. Potentially the shots from the Ranger doing enough damage? A double TNT is actually coming on through. Just the absolute barrage. Doyle win by timeout? No, we're gonna get bursted. Fair enough. Hey, do I want to stick with this weapon? Or Scion. Could technically make a swap, but G-Amster's going for a lot of water. I imagine they'll go for Rip Lances as well. Let's reduce energy costs. Let's level up a bunch here. I should have done this way sooner. Which Grotto is the better one? This one is. We can go up. Let's level up again. Just add another fighter just to give me a buff for now, and then I'll eventually replace Dokabird. Yeah, we'll absolutely crush through this. With the Lynx being in the front line, it does help keep the tanks relatively, or getting tankier. Thanks to that augment on it. And my thoughts with the Illuvium Beyond Town Hall. So, I'm definitely intrigued as to what the potential partner is that Kieran is so excited about. Saying that it's like bigger than GameStop, for example, which is a rather well-known company, of course, is pretty incredible. But what does that exactly entail? I have no idea. The fact that it's tied into Beyond, and that Beyond then is getting its own arena tournament because of it, is definitely interesting. One thing I just worry about, though, is if they do end up doing some sort of tie-in, for example, where your entry to a tournament is based off of your activity in Beyond, I just hope it doesn't price anybody who wants to compete out too badly, if that makes sense. Getting Berserker would probably be harder. Let's do that. Okay. Get one of my tanks potentially super tanky. And add Berserker to the Lynx for the time being. Add another attack augment onto my monkey. I now have 4 bulwarks. I need to find one more potentially. Extra credits goes towards the level. I will bring in Fury. Fury's not going to be necessarily in the greatest spot, but actually all the rogues are going towards the Monkier instead, who's just sustaining quite nicely. Half of my team's not even doing anything up there. Works for me. What's everybody building so far? That's a lot of fire there for Cyforcer. A lot of fire. We've got G-Hamster. It's got a bunch of rogues, huh? Okay. A Fury move. Something like this. Now we roll a little bit. Maybe do something like this to keep everybody nice and protected. I'm also going to move Axon down here so that there's not an immediate direct path towards Monkey. They couldn't get swarmed in that regard. The hamster does have that Alfie over in the corner, though, which is going to be doing some okay damage. Does have the augments for it, but they could take care of Fury. That's totally fine as long as they're not messing with Monkey, which as of right now, they're not going to be able to do in the slightest. Light it up. Wildfire Aegis. Coming on through. Bima. A little bit more. Now that we have Berserker, I'm going to give it over to Fury instead. I potentially use Flare. There, so now that we have you here, Monkey, come back. Fury, you get all the goods. Including an Aegis buff. See if I can get Monkey back on the board for just a second. Keep that Berserker. I need to keep the Berserker on there, so I'm glad Monkey came back. And then with the Furiox being Aegis buffed, it is going to allow it to be at least a little bit more tankier while also dealing out more damage. Which, as of right now, is working out quite nicely. Let's pick up that Heady. All is looking good so far here in this fight versus Vima. Currently second in the lobby. And I took care of that with pretty decent... or pretty decently, pretty consistently, or favorably. I do now have this extra DPS cell. Or Furies, absolutely, I'll gladly take that. Is there anybody else really going for it right now? I don't think so, so this is kind of my opportunity to scoop some up. Lynx, go away. Doka, go away. And potentially maybe even score another one of these... excuse me. Blanking out on the name for some reason. Krunks. See how we do now versus Fox. My Axon was a little bit too quick, so it did leave my Furiox out in the open. Ranger currently getting popped. Furiox is okay for the time being, though. These charms are rather annoying. But it looks like we are going to survive. I don't have 4 bulwarks yet, so I definitely need to get that online sometime sooner rather than later. But thankfully, everybody is just sustaining quite nicely. As soon as that invulnerability goes down, there it goes. Alright, so far so good. Maybe I'll put some coin or credits here into level to get to 5 bulwarks. Okay, Cyforcer has the Little Fury, but that's it so far. Nobody's gone for Fern either, which is, of course, probably the best case scenario for a support alongside my Furiox, which is quite nice. Fusion Crate. Let's see, we'll see that in here in a second. Resistance Shredding, I think we'll take that. Physical damage is energy damage, potentially. But I like the Breach Pulse as well. Let's make one of our tanks tankier. Go for this one here. In fact, I'm maybe not give it to a tank at all. Oh, yeah, we'll give it over to the trunk. Breach pulse reactor. Where do I want that to go? Eventually that'll go on the Fern. It just doesn't make sense right now. Let's get some levels. Okay. Let's get the 5th tank online. Cardo looks good. Do a roll or two. We now have Fernite available now as well. A Psyforce is basically pure fire in this instance. As much as I wanted to give that Breach Pulse Reactor to Furiox, I do know that it probably needs to sustain from the Restorating. And considering that that ram fight was directly on top of me for the most part in that fight, was probably a wise choice. Having this little snake be a Berserker as well is kind of crazy, I'm not gonna lie. Berserker while being Aegis buffed. Not super heavily contested on anything, so feeling good, I feel like, so far. Another fire imprint, potentially? I kind of like that idea, because if I give this over to Fernite... Do I want to build the full... No, let me move links. Switch this up ever so slightly. Okay, you go here. Fighter, you go there. We do something like this. Tankiness goes here. Got room for Fernite. And to shoot something like that. That's 5 fires now, so I just need 1 more, and I got 6. Then I'll sell the links. You've done good, thank you. Scarabok could potentially throw a wrench into things. I like that. And my carry is just nice and healthy. So far, so good. It's got the attack speed that I could want. Obviously, that rake is going to be a little bit of a pain. But at least we do have max health shredding with that augment. So as soon as it comes down to a point where we can actually focus it, it will end up going down. I have plenty of resistances added up because of that Restoring Impact Reactor. Looking good. Scarabok again, I'll gladly accept. And instead of getting rid of the Grotko, I might need that for 1 more fire potentially, which could potentially be this, this ace. Let's take away the Axolotl. Actually, this is a rogue team, eh? I've got an idea. Let's look. There is the Goliath. Let's make a switch. This is not Wildfire Aegis anymore. This is now Magma Aegis, right as all these rogues are going to jump right at me. Makes my Furiox a little bit tankier as well, since it's fighting on its own magma. Not a guaranteed thing by any means, but it is looking pretty decent off the rip. Similar scenario where we just got to deal with this rake, and then I'm pretty confident we do end up getting it. Yeah, so this way now I can pivot between Ranger affinities. If I'm going after a bunker, go Wildfire. If I'm worried about units jumping at me or coming at me, Magma. I've got 2 options now. And I'm arguably not even augmenting correctly. I should probably give Fernite the attack cell that my Monkier is currently holding. Part of me so badly wants to swap Monkier out, but it's what's giving me Berserker right now. Yeah, so in this instance here, we're going up against a bunker-esque kind of style composition. We'll make the switch. I can move Fernite over here more so towards the middle, because I'm going to be shooting at you, I imagine. Something like that. Fernite, you take this. can I potentially find one more Fury? There's one. I just need one more to get the job truly done. Psyforcer's the only other one that does have a Furiox, but I believe they just have the one. You have invulnerability off the start between Granite and Solid start, so it takes a little bit here for me to actually start denting into Fox Oracle. But the wildfire will start spreading, and this is also the same reason why I picked up the Ranger Augment the Ranger Augment for the weapon that gives me a lower energy cost. So I'm getting wildfire out there much more often, just constantly setting new things ablaze. As we can see, my Crunk, it is so healthy right now, it doesn't even look like it's taking much of a dent until the spellcasts come on through, which at that point, yeah, sure, fair enough. But we will slowly, as soon as that tank goes down... Is that 4 Granite, why it keeps popping invulnerable like that? Sure enough, that is exactly what's going on. But as soon as we find an opportunity to thread that needle, we will get the job done. Oldreal, hello! Yes, so in the town hall yesterday for the arena, Kieran did mention that rewards will be returning in some fashion, but it's not secured just yet as to how that is going to end up happening. But they realized that the complete lack of rewards did hurt the player base, and you can obviously tell with the arena players in particular, you weren't finding full lobbies very often, so to speak. So, it's something they're working on, but rewards will be returning sometime soon. A G Hamster. Let's switch this over to Magma. Can I find a couple here? Let's close these out. Okay, one more Wildfire to the team. One more Aegis to power up my Furiox. Can we find the last Furiox by chance? We absolutely can. Scoriox, Blazonite, and Blotto all here for this fight. And I argue I still have more that I can upgrade, but this is actually looking kind of troublesome that Malura and the Penguin are directly on top of my carries. That's a scary squad now. I might need to readjust my layout to not be so center-focused if G-Hamster is going to continue to run me over like that. Okay, another ace, and now we're up against Psyforcer. This is a good opportunity here for me to try and readjust. So, 1, 2, 3 like this, so 2 Aegis, 3 Aegis, cover the back, back you up a little bit so I can squeak in without touching. There we go. Magma near the back. Double magma near the back, technically. I need Blazonite over here. Get blocked by you. Something like that. Hey, GG's, Fox! And thank you. Extra credit will go into the level. I would like to hit level 10 before I really start looking for some super late game units. That's a scary squad, though. Absolutely tearing through my team, but so far Furiox has been doing a good job. Hanging on just a little bit, but the Goliath stun making things problematic. But I think the numbers game's just going to be in my favor ever so slightly. Psyforcer, GG's, going to end up falling in third. Okay, so now I can purely focus on this damn rogue set. So now, let's see. Let's get to level 10. Now, at the very least, I now have... Once I do that, there. I now have 6 fire online, so I'm maximized in terms of firepower. But this might take me a minute here. In theory, my Fernite or my Blasonite's shot's gonna go towards the geyser. Where's the shot for their Sinnoff? It's just going into my tank, so that's okay. That's actually not terrible. Their Slashin is trapped, and I'm gonna be able to open fire on it pretty decently. But wow, it actually just completely shredded on through. Brutal stuff. Brutal, brutal, brutal. Okay. How do we escape this one? Penguin did get into the back line. Yeah, I guess that was just enough of a needle to thread, so to speak, eh? Of course, I only got the Ranger. They're kind of holding it. Is that going to be enough to block it? Maybe something like that. Let's try that again. Okay, there we go. The hole was blocked that time. And I'm okay if this knocks me out this time, because it's then, in the next round, there's a PvE round, where I have more time to readjust. Penguin did go down this time, but this is still close. Very close still, but we are going to survive. Yeah, just the fact that the Penguin got blocked off that time was huge. One more shot to take them down. Let's see. Something maybe a little bit bigger. Completely clog it. Block, block, block. How much credits does Hamster have? I mean, not bad. Right after this round, they'll have a bunch. 6 fire is definitely doing me wonders here. What we got? Bunch of health. And attack damage. Okay, attack speed. At the same time, I don't want to really move that. Okay. Max health, I suppose. Go into Goliant. Ace. One more Scarabok. Titanor, hello. Okay. Anything else that I really want to do for this one in particular? I don't think so. I'm surprised that G-Hamster's still hanging on to a bunch of credits. I feel like they're confident in this one. But I've got the Titanor back there now. I'm gonna try and find the way to wedge in. They're all gonna go off the right-hand side, so this isn't too bad here for my squad. Titanor is gonna be kind of stuck for the time being, but now this is where it's gonna get useful. Just dives on through. It's holding them for quite a long time. But that is still just so much damage. Sheesh. Absolutely cooked. I mean, my Scoriox nearly just pulled a miracle shot there, but no, not gonna happen. Okay, one more to seal the deal. Let's see. Okay. Any other aces by chance? Oh, it's a little too late for that. Try again one more time. The Penguin might squeak in there. No, it did not. Now this time it's actually the Titanor going in right away. And it's going to be Singe that comes, or not Singe, but Seer that comes out second. In theory I would, but I do like giving my Scoriox Berserker, so I kept the Monkey in this time by to make sure that's still applied. And this time it held pretty decently, but the Umber's down, there it goes. We do end up picking this one up. Barely. GG's. Yeah, it definitely felt weird. The Greater Monk here, I mean, look at this thing leveling up here after that fight. It was on the field with me pretty much that entire game. Big levels, same thing there for the Archos as well. My Archos Goyle almost up to level 50. Let's go. And holding our own quite nicely overall. Good games, everybody. And we break into 2800. Which has me where? Still 12th? Yeah, Nyx and Lars ahead of me currently. Both by a pretty decent margin, too, as well. Nyx has just been on fire as of late. And actually here, since I'm on the leaderboards right now. Afflunk having a fantastic time. Oh, I was right. Nocacho is currently 4th. The Junior 3, Bon Daddy Ratty rounding up the top 3. For your ace on the move, Dr. Spoon, Fox Spirit showing up essentially out of nowhere. I mean, we knew as soon as Fox Spirit actually started playing the game again that they'd be up there. So sure enough, Psyforcer's actually chasing me. Very, very close. Now, oddly enough, that's a good point, Fox. Didn't they say that experience was gone? Huh. Happy accidents, I guess. But yes, GG Psyforcer. And Fox and everybody who played. Oh, yeah. But it is time for me to start wrapping things up here. Again, big thank you for everybody who tuned in all the way from the start there from This Week in Illuvium. And then just thanks everybody for tuning in regardless of when you happen to have joined. Happy we were able to squeak in the one arena game there at the very, very end as well. This is not the last stream for the week here for myself. Tomorrow I will be on Scoriox's stream on YouTube for the Download podcast. It does appear like we're going to be talking about the MMO now that a few of us, or I think all 3 of us, have had the opportunity to play in the playtest, what we think of it currently, and where we see it going. In classic Scoriox fashion, is this going to save Illuvium, or is it going to kill Illuvium? I'll keep teasing them about that, but I mean it in good fun. And then on Friday, of course, we do also have one more time with the Town Hall recap. We're going to be including the Town Halls that are coming up. So that's going to be the Risk to Earn and Staking one that happens on Thursday night. And then the one that happens tonight, technically, for the MMO itself. So we'll also, while we're talking about it on the download, we'll also have all the fresh information from the Town Hall as well, which will be quite interesting. If you developed a YouTube subscription, I would sub. Oh, I definitely thank you. I'm still definitely on the working on the swing of things, similar to, I guess, what's happening here with Illuvium. Slowly but surely waking my content creation way to monetization, but I am not there at all. I'm not even close, technically. In order to get a sub button or something along those lines, I do need to get up to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time within a year, and I'm not there yet. It's still a work in progress. I think we're at about 113 subs last time I checked. But it's not something I am going to be begging everybody for. However, it does help me a ton if you're enjoying your time here and you want to come hang out again sometime. If you're able to drop a sub onto the YouTube channel or follow on X or Twitch. That way we can hang out again sometime soon. Would absolutely love to have you, and would mean the world to me if you did. But again, I'm just having a good time overall, and that's why I'm doing this in the first place. If the channel never gets monetized, that's fine by me. If I'm still having fun, I'll still keep doing it. But with that being said, we will close things out here for today. I'll see you tomorrow on Scoriox's stream for the download. And then I'll see you back here on Friday for the Town Hall recap and maybe a little bit more Illuvium Arena.